So some morons are asking me, where is the red button? Where do you have this button that can cause the extinction of all sentient beings? Ha, you don't have that button. I win the argument. So what you morons don't understand is that if I say, okay, I have a button, if you press it, slavery will be abolished. That doesn't really mean I have that button. I just want to give you that idea that slavery should be abolished. Slavery is something bad. There is never going to be a button to abolish slavery. There is never going to be a button, and I don't have it. So you have to fight for it. You have to fight for abolishing slavery. If you want something done, you need to fight for it. You are the one who should fight for it. So if you decide that, okay, slavery is bad, you need to fight against it. If you decide that, okay, suffering is bad, you need to fight against it. Extinction might happen in 10 years or even 1,000 years. That depends on your work, the effort you put towards your cause. So I have been thinking about extinctionism for a long time, and I have come up with 3 principles. So when we actually go about causing extinction, so we should make it as vast as possible and as thorough as possible. So this is principle number 1 and priority number 1. So as vast as possible means that it should be including the most number of sentient beings as possible, and as thorough as possible means that this extinction should be thorough. We should be sure that, okay, if we do this, life will not arise again. So principle number 2 and priority number 2 is that we should do it as soon as possible. Each year we delay, 20 quintillion sentient beings will suffer in a worse way and die pointlessly. Principle number 3, it should be as painless as possible. This is also priority number 3. So with that in mind, let's actually go into what you can actually do about extinctionism. So I have listed here some technologies, like some theoretical possibilities, some near future technologies, and some technologies that already exist. So these technologies have a potential to accomplish the job. So if you are from a science background and you are an extinctionist, you can research on these, right? So I have given the links explaining some of these technologies in the description. So we have vacuum decay over here. So it basically, some theories suggest that if you tunnel a Higgs boson particle to lower energy state, rest of the particles will follow, and this vacuum bubble will be formed, and which will expand and engulf everything in its path. So the second thing, AI, I don't think I need to explain AI to you, but it is really a developing technology. So current AI doesn't have any scope of accomplishing the job. So the rest of the things you can research by yourself, like artificial gene synthesis, etc., etc. So nobody is going to put efforts into causing extinction if they are not motivated to do so, right? So if they are not extinctionists, they are not going to put effort on it. So that's where you come in. You do activism, you make people see the truth, you make them realize that, okay, this is what we should do, that is your job. So you have to understand that, again, unlike instant noodles, I cannot tell you, okay, you add the noodles first, and then you add the vegetables, you add the spice mix, you add the water, and you stir well and serve. Extinction is done. I cannot tell you that, right? So we need to put more brains together to work on this. So if people have to work on this, they should be convinced that, okay, this is the way to go about it. That's why we need activism. So if you decide that, okay, slavery needs to be abolished, okay, the first thing you do is that you convince some people that slavery is bad, it causes a lot of suffering, it should be abolished. Then you put some brains together to work against slavery. right? So even you say everything else fails, like these technologies don't pan out, at least if we do activism, we will have a movement in our hand, and we can cause a phase by phase extinction, which surely will work. It will work surely. You know, you create some ecological dead zones and euthanize some animals, right? Then humans don't reproduce. If some more pro-lifers are left, we'll literally go to a war with them. For small causes like anti-racism and all, people have gone to war. This is the biggest cause ever. Why won't we do it? So the next question that you might have is that, okay, will people even agree to extinctionism? Will this even become a movement? So you are getting the same anxiety, the same cold feet the very first activist of every social justice movement had. Imagine how the first activist of every movement felt, right? But still they have had success. So I can prove to you that extinctionism will become a movement. So you take history, right? So in history, two things are observable. One, society as it progresses, it will always move towards ethics, and two, it will move towards rationality. So for evidence, you just take social justice movements. We continuously fight against suffering. We decide, okay, slavery is bad, we fight against slavery, we make a movement against slavery. We decide, okay, discrimination of LGBT is bad, we make a movement for that. We decide animal abuse is bad, we make a movement for that, right? So as long as suffering exists, empaths will keep fighting against it, and without empaths, society will collapse. Second thing, the society is moving towards rationality. You take for example, okay, these books Sapiens and God Delusion. These books are atheist books. If you had written them like say 200-300 years ago, you would have been burnt alive as a punishment. But these books are the best sellers right now. Rise of atheism, nihilism proves that society is moving towards rationality. The ultimate point where ethics and rationality will meet is extinctionism, because ethics is all about solving suffering. Ethics is actually a reaction to suffering, and rationally solving suffering, extinction is the only way. It's as simple as that. So the rate at which the activism progresses depends on you. The rate at which, okay, the movement grows depends on your efforts, your activism. It will happen someday. Someday someone is going to take this up and do it. But the rate at which it happens depends on you, and these animals that are going to suffer are also depending on your activism. So you take child abuse for example, right? So these law enforcement people and these activists who are fighting against child abuse, do you think they will ever stop? Actually, stopping child abuse, stopping suffering in this world is impossible. But these people will never stop. They will fight against it until their last breath. Either they save every single child, make every single child safe, or they will die trying. So if something like that is just a part of the suffering deserves this much radicalness, then I will give that to extinctionism also. I will fight until I die or cause extinction.